Hey, Blackburn Social Club, God bless America. Talking boots, specifically talking about these Viberg 310 service boots. A few things I want to talk about today, specifically about these. We'll get into the what it is. We'll get into the sizing and information about it. But I wanted to real fast just talk about how much of an impression these boots have made on me. The 310 as a whole. When I first started down that path, I wasn't even sure I'd like it. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the pronounced sprung toe. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the structured, tall toe box here. I just wasn't sure if this chunky thing was my style. In fact, when Gabe offered me that other pair, that was his concern too. He's like, I know this may not be your thing, but I did want to check. Y'all know what I'm here to do. I did want to check that box and say, yes, I've experienced it. Yes, I can talk to it, and I knew full well that I might end up, taking them and then selling them. But that is not at all what happened. I got that pair. I immediately fell in love with that pair. And like I do on a lot of things, I just think, well, if I love it that much in chocolate, then I'll definitely love it in tan. So I started looking for a tan pair. And luckily, you don't find a lot when you're looking for these, but I luckily found this pair. This is the Toasted Coconut Dublin. So let me work my way through some details on this boot, and then I want to tell you a little bit about why this has quickly become one of my favorite boots. This style boot. Maybe what's changed my mind about it. The first things first. Toasted Coconut Dublin. Dublin's the 100-year-old formula from Horween off of their Essex line. I'm going to try to sound knowledgeable about leather, for real quick, but it's wax infused and it's hand glazed and hot rolled and all the stuff. Typically 2 to 3.6 millimeters thick, which is somewhere in that 5 to 9 ounce range. And by the calibrated gauge that I'm using here, I'm going to say it's 6.5 ounces. This pair is unlined. The other pair was fully kip lined. You can tell the weight difference, like you probably should be able to, but they still use plenty thick leather. And of course the one piece backstay, all that stuff. Heavy boot. Day-night sole, heavy boot, quality boot. What has changed, what has got me won over on Viberg as a name? Now, we talked about it before. I cannot like the fact that they're charging over $1,000 for the boots. I cannot buy those boots, and I won't. But knowing that I can get this boot, this premium boot, and that's that premium. I'm gonna say that word 2 or 3 times. The time that they spent picking the leathers, sewing this stuff perfectly. This is the second pair now, and I've inspected them closely. There's not a stitch out of place. It's absolutely perfect. They're not overdoing anything. I know I said that last time. They're not doing 4 rows of stitching where 2 works. But I can't for the life of me see that you even need the 4. It's such a well put together boot, and it's so premium. You can just tell that it's more attention was spent putting this together than on quite a few of the boots that I've bought. So to me, I'm still going to say this. Once you get to those sale prices, I think you can buy without guilt, knowing that this thing is just a well put together hell of a boot. This particular boot, I think they made this in 21. And when it got to me, it was a little bit ashy. So I don't know how long it had sat, and maybe, how long it hadn't been cared for. But all I've done, I've conditioned it once, and it completely brought them back to life. I'm going to do that 1 or 2 more times just over the next couple of months, just taking care of them, because they're the kind of boots that I can love taking care of. Love the way they fit, love the way they feel. Speaking of fit, this is a 10. This is a size 10E, which translates roughly to an 11 American, and I'm an 11.5 on the Brannock. So for me, this was a stretch, but I kind of knew that I would thin socks summer. I knew it would be a gamble, but I'm glad I went with it because it's perfect. Now the 10.5 on the other pair, that gave me about a 1/2 inch at the end of my toes. This one's probably more like 3/8 of an inch. That may be too close for some, but again, it's a round-toed boot. Works for my foot shape. The width is perfect. They fit amazing. So very tickled with the size 10 that I went with. I want to talk about some of the things that it won me over on. I've heard a lot of people say, talking about the sprung toe, I couldn't get comfortable with that sprung toe. The more I have worn both pair, the more I really and truly I feel the opposite. I've got a pair of new boots in there that have, a flat walking surface, and I know that I'm wearing a flat boot. I mean, I clunk around the house, and it just, I'm constantly feeling that. With these, it's the exact opposite. I don't even know that I don't even feel the curve, which is bizarre because we all think that we're flat-footed, but when you wear this, it just rolls with you. So I'm completely turned around on how comfortable this boot is. Now, if that looks obnoxious to somebody, so be it. Just the character and style of the boot. When I think of some of the, they just look like a stylish boot to me. And I know style is subjective. So for me, that's a subjective statement, and I'm standing beside it or behind it. I just think this is an attractive boot. What they do well, that I felt like that Nick's 1167 last was trying to be this boot. I think there's a lot of people that are trying to be this boot. And I think it's obvious when you compare them that they figured the style out. The Knicks, I never really cared for their Celastic on that toe. If you go back and look at the photos, and for me, it was every time I looked at that boot on the end of my foot, I would see where the leather transitioned to the Celastic toe. And it just felt like it didn't belong. This blends seamlessly. It's absolutely seamless, and it just works. So the proportion of the boot, the proportioning of the boot, it just works. So again, I know everything I'm talking about is subjective, except for the quality. You can't, again, I'll own the fact that not everybody will like a sprung toe. I'll own the fact that not everybody likes the toe bump. I'll own the fact that not everybody wants to spend $1,000 for boots. But you have to own the fact that this thing is built more precisely and more premium than 50% of what 60-70% of what I've held out here. So that's why I'm saying, to me, this literally jumped to the top of my favorites. And not given. I'm not going to call them a work boot. I'm not going to go beat them up in the field like I do for some of my other purpose boots. But I do want to give them props, and that is, I'm going to say this is the best bang for your buck. That if you're going to spend up to that $500-600 secondhand market, you can't go wrong with this boot. So I don't know. I've re-recorded this 3 or 4 times. I'm struggling with keeping my thoughts straight today for some reason. I feel like I've covered everything that I put on my notes. Premium finish, distinct look, history, the character, and I've talked about their worth. So I kind of, I kind of think I'm done. This is a home run boot. So tickled, and I don't know that I'll have many of them. I've got one more boot coming that I really want to talk about, but these 2 pair will always be in my rotation. I don't see them going away. I'm too tickled with them, and I think this especially this Dublin leather, I think this gets better with time. So tickled with this. What else? I think that's it. You guys be blessed. Talk soon.